Hello, today it is a workshop video. What I'm gonna show is how to replace standard tuners to Fender Locking Tuners. Yeah. This is American Professional 2 and it has standard tuners, and I got an upgrade. I was surprised to see that it is made in Korea. Nevertheless, I will give it a try and see how it goes. What I will need is cutters to cut the strings, key, then I will be replacing standard Fender strings to 946, which is my gauge to go. And as far as I am replacing string size, I potentially need to do some adjustments of truss rod. That's why I have a set of keys, including truss rod key, and I will probably use those rulers to check strings, how they set up and action. And of course I will need to have some cleaning stuff and Dunlop lemon oil. Then some other things to make my life easy. So first, what I do is I cut the strings. Yeah, I could detune that and then pull the strings out in the bridge, but so when you pull off the strings, this thing, yeah, you see, it's nearly impossible to pull that through the bridge without scratching surrounding surfaces. That's why I cut that in the middle somewhere and then pull that through the bridge. And the piece which stays here, I just pull it over up and it scratches nothing. Yeah, so I just go ahead and cut all the strings. It's recommended to relieve the tension a bit before you cut the strings, but in fact you will never have any problems if you do it carefully, even without. I'm a bit lazy. Okay, so what I need to do is to remove things from the digital. That's kind of easy thing. So those are the pieces from like the back side of strings, and now we have an access to our tuners. I don't need cutters anymore, and I'll be very careful with those strings not to lose them all over the place in the room. That's why I put them all together. Like this, and then bin that. This way they will never be lost on the floor, because if you do and then step over, it can be pretty painful if you don't wear shoes at home. I try to make it kind of fixed so that it doesn't go away. Now it's pretty clean. I take this wrench and start to unscrew the tuners. There are special kind of wrenches made of plastic for this kind of job. I don't have one, by the way. It's kind of disappointing. It's, you know, they're not screwed enough, strong enough. It is like I literally barely touch the key to unscrew the tuners. What I typically do is I just unscrew so that this piece turns easily, and the rest I just use my hands, because with steel tools you can easily scratch the instrument, which I prefer not to do. So this is American Standard, and there are two sizes of turnip pins. Yeah, you see, one is shorter and the other one is this way. You see better. The other one is longer. So this one is for low strings and this one is for high strings. For first 4, I think, and this one is for other 2. Yeah, and hope I get the same thing using locking tuners. And let me remove that. I unpack. So yeah, all good. We actually have 3 shorts and 3 long ones. Then if you double check those pins, they fit perfectly. Then size-wise, you know, they are the same, shape is the same, and basically the only difference you will see is on the back side they have those screws to lock the strings. So these 3 are short and they will go 1, 2, 3, first 3 strings, and these 3 are longer shaft. They will go to wounded strings, which are 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. So we start from the first one. And I use only my fingers to screw them, to fix them, and I will only use wrench at the very end when I put them all into their places, so that I can minimize use of metal steel thing over quite sensitive coating. I don't want to scratch guitar. As you see, Fender tuners, they don't have any holes at the back which say Ibanez and other guitar brands have, to screw on the back of the head of the neck. Yeah, and they use those 2 pins instead, which is very nice. What's inside? There is something inside. Interesting. Ah, okay. It's just these pieces of packaging rattling inside. Nothing interesting. You don't need to use a very high, like, extreme force here. You don't want to destroy the wood, so it is really tiny kind of force. You don't need to use your strength here. I told that when I was dismantling the old tuners, they were barely screwed. So basically I do a little bit more. I use a little bit more force than I've seen from factory. And the tuners are in their place. I can string up the guitar, but before that I will do some cleaning. Typical places where cleaning is required is under the strings in pickup area, but this guitar is pretty new, didn't play too much, so it is reasonably clean here, but I still, of course, do some cleaning. I prefer them, or I prefer my guitars to be well maintained. So what else do I do? I will use some lemon oil for frets, and I just put that on frets, and what I'm gonna do now, actually, I'm gonna put that on the fretboard and then go have my dinner. Then I will complete the job after I have dinner, which probably take half an hour, 1 hour. Yeah, and I think that's the first time this neck takes the oil. As I said, it is brand new guitar. I never change strings on that. Typically after I buy a guitar, first thing I do is I'm changing strings. I didn't do that here. They were decently new, actually. I played them for quite a while, and basically first day I bought that, I decided that I will change the standard tuners to locking. Yeah, Was too busy to do that, and recently just ordered them and received them. So now I've got some time to do this small upgrade. I'll leave it just like that. Let it soak. Then I will use clothes to remove the excess and polish threads a little bit after a finished dinner. It is around half an hour past, and what I'm gonna do is now remove the residual of the lemon oil, and we'll start to string up the guitar. So, see, the guitar is pretty new, but still there is a little bit of dirt on frets, and it makes little sense to clean it up while doing the exercise. We can consider that clean, and yeah, you see, it is really, really beautiful rosewood neck. Yeah. Yeah, so I need actually one more tool which I forgot to mention, but that is very important. And let me see if I have one. The reason you need pencil is that we'll be using these graphite from the pencil to actually lubricate the nut. Yeah. I believe that with locking tuners that will be fine and there will be no problem here, but it makes total sense to lubricate those slots for strings to make sure that they are not stuck there, and that basically improves tuning stability. All right, so let me double check the neck. It is pretty straight, but of course I need to measure that with strings on. And yeah. Let's put some strings on that baby. So that's what I use, 46 to 9. And show some tricks which I use when I put on strings. So first of all, locking tuners. It's easy. With locking tuners, you don't need to bend those strings over the tuner, you just lock it and what I do is I just use my hand to pull string over. Okay. What I do is I bend this end over to the top so that then after I put all strings on, it doesn't like mess up with others. Yeah. The next one is 36. What I do is that I turn a bit the tuner so that string goes straight into the hole, yeah, that way. And then put the lock on. With this lock, I actually try to use my fingers and I try to lock it really hard, yeah. Later on I will show you the trick what I do with these ends. I told that we don't need cutters, and the thing is that if you use cutters to remove those ends, then they will be pretty sharp and you can even hurt yourself. I can show you better option. Again, I pull string over and I use my fingers to lock that. By the way, with locking tuners, this thing is pretty unnecessary because it's just a few turns and you are done. Probably even easier without. Let me finish that with the others and I will show you what I do with those ends. We have all strings on. Guitar is more or less in tune. It's not yet actually, but more or less. And what happened is that you see as I put different strings, the angle of this tremolo bar like went up, and what I need to do is actually to pull this off and adjust springs to make sure that the tremolo bar is evenly and basically it's parallel to the guitar body. Quite standard procedure which is not part of the video. I will show you what do I do with those string ends. Yeah. As I mentioned, I do not use cutters. And the reason for that, if I use cutters, I can never cut close enough to the end, and I leave very sharp end here, which potentially can hurt you. What I do, you see, it's like up to the top, and I just bend it over a few times. And now it's done. If you see, it's really close to the end here, yeah, and it's not sharp. It's like highly unlikely you get hurt yourself after touching that, yeah. So I will do that for all the other strings as well, yeah. Best is from side to side. Again, side to side. I do the same on my guitars which do not have locking tuners. But of course, with non-locking tuners you have to wrap the string around a few times. Of course, one of the disadvantages of this approach is that if, let's say, you need to pull strings off, I don't know, to do some stuff with bridge or, I don't know, exchange pickups, then there is no way you can put those strings back. But it's okay. Yeah, and it's really clean. I mean, you don't feel this tip here. As far as it is locking tuners, it's not a problem at all. I do it on all my guitars which have locking tuners. It looks really clean. You see? It is really clean. Accurate. And you will not hurt yourself. One thing left is to adjust this tremolo bar, which I will do, and tune the guitar. Thanks for watching, put like on this video and subscribe.